欢迎来到欢乐游戏之家，我是你的主持人 Jesse。今天我们会来游研社的档案馆，看他们12月的展览是任天堂的主题的线下展。They have lots of new stuff, and I'm very excited to check out the board games, card games, and everything that came before. I've never seen this stuff in real life. I've only read about it online, and now I'm going to see it. I'm very excited. And the best thing of all is it's free. 免费的，我很开心。走吧。So they call this a Nintendo event, but if I had to summarize it for myself, I think to a blog called Before Mario, and that's by a French writer, I think it's a French writer called Eric Voskuil. And Eric Voskuil has been documenting for many years the early period of Nintendo, and that's before Nintendo got into electronic games or video game systems like the Famicom that's coming up on 40 years. This year is the 40th year anniversary. So a lot of people know that Nintendo started out as a card company in about 1889. So what they were producing were these Hanafuda cards, which are these small cards here. Now, if you've never played Hanafuda, it's a really interesting card game. You can actually pick up an electronic version on the Switch. Each season has a different flower associated with it, and you have to make certain combinations together. Now, the reason these cards are so small is because for actually, I think, a period of several hundred years, they were considered gambling objects. So people made the cards very small so they could hide them. And what you get in these cards, and you see this man here, you're probably wondering why is this random white guy in these cards? It's because there's a very strong Portuguese influence. For many hundreds of years, Japan had a policy of self-isolation. The Portuguese came in, and there's actually another card game called Karuta, which basically means card in Portuguese. So apart from Hanafuda and Karuta, which is the Portuguese influenced card game, there's also this game here, which is based on classical Japanese poetry. When you're playing Hanafuda as well, I also wanted to mention is most people consider Hanafuda as one card game, sort of like you play poker cards and you play Texas Hold'em poker, but actually for standard deck of cards, there's a countless array of card games you can play. So most people across Hawaii, Japan, and Korea that use those Hanafuda cards there will be playing a game called Koi Koi. So Nintendo started out as a card game company, but moving on, they would actually branch out into board games and toys. So we're going to take a look at some of those. 学长，这是你的游戏，你带的哦。任天堂的主题很合适你的收藏的东西。
因为我收的有绝大部分门类都是任天堂的，带了大概300个左右的游戏，然后基本上都涵盖了是咱们国内玩家都比较耳熟能详的一些游戏，或者是说小时候在盒卡里玩过的，或者说单卡里面玩过的一些游戏。你像上面这些都是一些小的游戏，然后都出现在当时的这个盒卡里边，然后到下面的是有一些大型的游戏，就是在那种4合1啊、8合1里边才能够有的一些游戏。
I also saw something very interesting, which is they have a Contra crossover thing. I'm going to show you this over here. So we've talked about Hundolo or Contra a lot before on this channel because it's a huge game for everyone here in China. But the most interesting thing that I found here that probably no one's really heard about is this one here. It's a crossover between the Calabash brothers and Contra. I'm not sure how their two worlds could collide. That is a very strange crossover, and there's actually more than one issue of this. That's a fascinating artifact of history right there, something you're not going to see outside of China. So a lot of the toys that Nintendo would work on in the 60s and 70s are interesting to us fans of video games, and that's because a lot of the designers that would go on to work in the video game departments or designing the video game tech actually started out as toy designers. Chief amongst them is Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the Game Boy, who actually worked on a series of 3 games. I think the earliest one here is we have the Ultra Hand. Later on, I think this one here is the pitching device. This is sort of a baseball pitching device, and this would sell millions of units in Japan. So these games here would be some of Nintendo's first million-selling products. This one is also designed by him as well. And basically it's a fun little periscope. This can actually extend to up to 1 meter tall. So you can use this mirror to look around design. It's kind of like a little spy gadget. In the 90s we had a lot of spy related toys, and this is an early version of here. The build quality is actually really good. Nintendo also got involved in sort of puzzle games. Now this is Gunpei Yokoi's sort of version of the Rubik's Cube. So what you're trying to do is match the colors to the barrels. You can move these barrels and you're trying to get these balls to be on the same level. We have games like this. You're taking these caps here and you're shooting them into these little holes. It's called a hopping game, I think is the translation, hopping game, yep. So basically you hop into there, but the thing is, like a dartboard, the middle one's worth 30 points, and as you radiate out, less points, 5 points for the end ones. But the interesting mechanic here, which is different from darts, is you can actually get more of these little caps to land in there. So if you get a second one in there, a third one in there, that multiplies your score. This one actually dates from the 60s, 69, and it did see a mail order US release in 71, is the Love Tester. So this has that great retro aesthetic. If you watched WandaVision, the Marvel series WandaVision, it's got that old sitcom kind of font and look, like you're gonna watch Bewitched or something. So all this really does is its electronic connectivity. Okay, so I'm gonna invite our director Ben to come into the frame in a minute, and we're gonna actually try the Love Tester.
It's time to test our
well, you know, our working relationship, our platonic working relationship.
Well, you know I love you after all, right?
Okay,
okay,
sure.
Let me show.
Am I gonna be red or black?
Okay, I'm wearing black, so
Okay,
I'm black.
sure.
Okay, ready?
I'm red for China. Okay, there we go. And we got to hold hands though, right?
Oh,
we hold
now
hands.
Zero.
Now it's zero, and then now we got to hold.
Okay.
How do we do this?
See.
Right? Ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are we going to go up?
Did it go up? Yeah, 20.
20. Say, why are you
20.
cheering for 20?
No, but
Now one of the other things. Yeah.
according to what it says, if you kiss,
increases conductivity.
yeah, because of moisture.
Going around. So if we.
Let's try.
And they actually did a lot of licensing deals. So for a lot of these, we're going to look at the board games in a second, but a lot of these early toys, like this one here is a licensing deal with Hasbro. It has the shell and you get the car and the cartridge and you put it all together. I'm not going to break this, it's really early. And right here you see Ultraman. That is Nintendo. Now we reach the board game section. So we have a lot of Nintendo making a lot of standard games. We have shogi, Japanese chess, regular chess, roulette, a lot of gambling games. Now this is like an early version of Game of Life, or this one here it says Game of Fate. Game of Life would actually be incredibly popular in Japan for some reason. See this little thing here, spinner here. You can actually get a controller for the PS1 that has a built-in spinner in the top so you can play Game of Life, because it was that popular in Japan. They made a special Game of Life controller. That's amazing. We have Star Chess. We've got some of their Disney tie-in products here. We have a casino game. It just says casino game in Japanese there in katakana. So you've got a Monopoly type setup. Great branding here, great style. You've got a roulette table here. Here is a Japanese historical game. I guess during the time of Nobunaga. I do not know particularly where you're going or what you're doing. It looks rather simple, but I really love the build quality on these pieces here. If you look at their logo here as well, it's very different to what we're used to. We just had the Napoleon movie come out. But this is basically a simplified version of Go, but it's Napoleon themed. So basically, of course, they've got all the Nintendo gaming products up there. There's actually a few things that are worth looking at. They have the Sharp Famicom here, which has the dual built-in disc system with the drive there. Now the issue, of course, with the Famicom disc system is the drive belts on those tend to break down very easily. That's usually the one that clips onto the bottom. But this one's an all-in-one unit, which is kind of a nice thing. It's a very nice build quality. Don't see them as much. We've got that, there we go. There's the regular disc system right here as it clips onto the bottom there. But this one is very sleek. Also, this carry case is absolutely, it's got something in there. It's really, really nice. Kind of like those early 90s laptops when people would have a briefcase, but it looked like they were bringing, I don't know, like the nuclear codes or something. They were so big and so beefy. Of course, all the peripherals that you can think of, the basic, family basic for programming, the data recorder. So a lot of people maybe don't know about this. Actually, before they even did the disc system, you could actually get games on like standard tapes. But this one's actually for recording data when you're doing Family Basic, when you're programming games, when you're programming information, you can store that data on a cassette tape. And there's games like, I think it was Excite Byte, that you could save levels and you could design levels and store them on tape. Fantastic. We're going to move over here and have a look at some of the TV games. Now, we've done some short videos on these before, and these are the Nintendo TV games. Apart from the Game & Watch series, which were handhelds, this is actually the first Nintendo game systems which connected to the TV to play. Now, the first one is TV Game 6, and what that says, it's basically Pong. But they say they have volleyball and other games like that, and based on the switches, there's basically 6 different modes, so they count that as 6 different games. And you have these early sort of paddle controllers, which were common to consoles at the time, Atari and that sort of thing. Then we move on to TV Game 15, which just ups the amount of options. Now this one here actually has the paddles that can be on wires there, so you've got a bit more length, a bit more easy to play like this. You can hold it. 上玩 Okay. Hey, I should. Oh.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
No.
Oh my god. Okay. I gotta win.
Okay.
加油. Oh. Oh.
No.
Nice.
This is
哎
真不容易. It's very hard.
Yeah. 不容易，不容易。
啊。
哦，我要赢了。我赛点。
马上。
马上。Oh nice.
Thank you. Well, that was embarrassing. I'm gonna have to practice this, so excuse me. Can I play by myself? Can I play the computer? I think you need to have 2 people to play. Now move on to this one, which we also have, which is Racing 112. This one I'm not sure about the number because it surely does not have 112 different options. This one is 2-player as well, but the unlucky player 2 will be stuck with the paddle while the other person gets the steering wheel. This one here is a block game. So if you look here, on here you can kind of see the gameplay. This is sort of like Breakthrough, I think, where you have the blocks and you have to smash them. So this was sort of the evolution after Pong. What next? We still have a paddle, we still have a ball. What can we do with the gameplay? The thing about the design of Breakthrough actually was the unexpected thing, which is the ball can come through and then hit the blocks from the other side, which added an element to the gameplay. I'm not sure if on the Nintendo version that's also the case, but you see Nintendo here building off some existing gameplay designs and putting their own spin, which they would then use to great effect in their Game & Watch series, which would lead into, of course, eventually the Famicom 40 years ago, which would pretty much where this story ends and where we pick up. So I'd like really to thank Eric again from before Mario and his blog and his book and a lot of that. A lot of the information that I'm getting and a lot of my reading has been research done by him. It's such an opportunity. I'd like to thank the Game Research Society here in Beijing as well for hosting these free events. All you need to do is register and you can come in and have a look. And just being able to see, touch, actually use, being able to touch it, it makes a big difference. It's not just on display, but you can use these things. They're still in great working order. People here can explain them to you, explain the history of these things. There's great information plaques on everything. So to see these early board games, these card games, all of the Nintendo designers, all the genius of their ideas, pre-electronic games. So this is my first time seeing any of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is very hard to get your hands on. So it was a wonderful experience, and if you're interested at all in Nintendo, the history of video games, and where it all started, you know, this was a fantastic experience. So on that note, I'm Jesse, and that was Happy Gaming House. See you next time.